Thank you for joining us. This is Health Your Own Way podcast, and I am your host, Mo Atkins. Welcome to another episode. Today, we'll be talking about how to discover the perfect relationship formula. I don't think one exists, but Brent's going to tell us. Brent, which is our guest speaker, is going to tell us. He's a life coach. And so, Brent, specifically, anything else you want to add before we start today, sir?
Yeah, first, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for allowing me to be in your presence and for being part of this process. I've been doing Yeah, seriously, I want to just give some gratitude to you because I know it takes a lot of work and I know this is really hard work. And you and I earlier, we tried to get on and I became the host. I'm like, no. I don't want the responsibility of being a host. You're the host. You get to do it. So I just want to thank you for all your hard work. I think that's important. And for allowing me to be here to talk about relationships. I am a intuitive life coach. I happen to have won a contest on the Today Show called Everybody Has a Story. And so they brought me on and it really showcases my intuitiveness. So if you go onto YouTube and put Brent Scarpo, the Today Show, you'll see that. And I specifically deal with, I love millennials. I love them. So my niche is millennials, especially those that are interested in really transforming their life when it comes to career, relationships. I have a propensity for those that have ADHD or go through anxiety and depression. And my other passion in life is the entertainment industry. So for many years, I was an actor. I was a casting director. I worked on such films as Air Force One, That Thing You Do, and the Shawshank Redemption. Nice. So I take a lot of my entertainment industry wisdom and then match it up with my life coaching along with being an intuitive.
First, you made me feel good. So let me just bask in that moment for a second. Okay. Let me bask in that moment for a second.
Oh, and you honestly, should.
No, but I appreciate the compliment, and you seem like you have a lot of life experience. So I'm interested in respect to what you have to say and what you can share today. So we're going to begin. And the first thing, as I said, when I said there's no such thing as perfect relationship, I disagree. So do you agree with me? Is what I'm asking.
I'll agree to disagree with you.
Okay, explain why.
Sure, because that's part of the formula of being in a relationship, right? Everybody right now, especially in the last 5 years, wants to be right. We want to be right. And if you're not right, I'm leaving. And I'm like, Really? Is that what a relationship is? So, if you look at my website, which is brentscarpo.com, right? And you'll see that there's to me, a perfect relationship formula. So the question is, what's the perfect relationship? Well, of course, there isn't a perfect relationship, though I'll push back on that.
Okay.
A perfect relationship is your ability to pursue a perfect relationship. It's the ability to do the work.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. We'll never get, it's like saying, well, this is heaven on earth. No, I think there is something bigger once we make our transition, but we try to model our behavior in regards to who we are as human beings on this planet called Earth to reach there. Same thing with relationships. The perfect formula or part of it is pursuing a perfect relationship. Saying to yourself, I am going to do the work. I am going to recognize that this is difficult. I am going to pursue, my favorite movie in the world is The Wizard of Oz. Okay. And what I love about it is it wasn't about the wizard, was it?
No, it was about.
Go ahead.
No, I thought, maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was about the girl with the shoes.
The journey. Yeah, it's about the journey. But she gets there and she's like, no, it's the wizard. It's the wizard. It's the wizard. So they're pursuing what they think is perfect. All the answers to my life's challenges is going to be with the wizard. They get there. The wizard's a fraud. He's not even real, right? But that's not what it's about. It's the pursuit of it. So many of us in relationships, we just look for one way, one out. Just do one thing to get me out of it and I'm gone. Right? Because there's got to be something better over the rainbow. There's got to be something better. And so what people are doing is they're not pursuing the process of finding and doing the work of the perfect relationship. They're trying to find the way out. I have a client right now. He's 33 years old. I absolutely adore him. I've worked with him 3 times. And I said, well, you know why you're just having one night stands and hookups and such is because when you go into any relationship whatsoever, you're always looking for the way out. And he's like, he said, every time I go on a date, I say to myself, if this goes bad, how do I get out of it? I said, if you're setting yourself up for the date, how do you think you'll ever get married?
Okay, I'm listening. I'm listening. I think, because when I talk to some of you guys make sense to me. So you make me look at you make me look at my past experience and my current one and see what I'm doing. Like you're right. In a certain extent, there's no such thing as a perfect formula for a relationship, but
There is a formula. There's not a perfect relationship.
Okay, fine.
But the perfect relationship is in the pursuit of it.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. So you have to be willing to do the work itself. So when we talk about relationships, are we literally stating, is it something that's, not emotional, but could it be related to your family or friends, or is it something that's...
Great question. Great question. So relationships are relationships. I believe that part of our process of being human beings on this planet is to have these interpersonal relationships, right? I'm a believer that every one of us, every human spirit is connected by a golden thread. And every time that thread is pulled, we all move a step together. Right. Okay. And so whether it's friends, whether it's romantic, whether it's family, whether it's a community, whether it's just walking down New York City and saying hello to somebody. You walk down New York City and you look at somebody and just nod your head. You had a relationship with that person. You met. There was energy exchange. Now, to the level to which that relationship sustains itself, then we get into intimacy and then friendship. And do we, I remember when I first heard, I was speaking at colleges and universities for many years, and I heard this term. And so I said to a crowd of about 1,000 students, I said, can somebody please explain to me? I learned something new. Can somebody explain to me what friends with benefits is? And I said, no, I want to know. Someone stand up and tell me. That's how I started my program. And so they said, well, it's kind of da. I said, well, really? I said, I've learned so much from you. I said, to me, it should be friends with a 401k, because if you don't have that, why am I going to be in the relationship? Again, joking about it. But in the last 10 to 15 years, we've crossed those boundaries, right? Okay. And we have to look at why we're doing that. So yeah, this can work for almost any kind of relationship in terms of parts of the formula. Again, the level to which you become intimate with that person, that's up to you.
So just step back for a second, because I've found it really interesting. I don't think it's been clear, and whoever's watching and listening, it's, again, there's a formula, but there's no perfect relationship. And what I found interesting in what you said was the fact that it's the journey of you getting there, willing to do the work. And I think that's where a lot of people disconnect on what the work is and what level of work is required. And you're right. If you come into any form of relationship, it could be your family, but if you think automatically the worst, then you're not getting there. You're not trying to make that relationship work. You're not doing that work. And a lot of people do go into any form of relationship thinking the worst thing's going to happen.
Right. The worst thing, or where's the way out, or when can I exit? If this goes wrong, what can I do? If I don't, I'm amazed on how many both men and women will go on a date and say, call me in 30 minutes just so if I can get out of it, I can. Really? That's how you're going to set up the evening?
You're going to done that, but okay, I can understand.
Oh, I know a lot of people. Yeah, they'll go on a date, or they'll do the Match.com, or do the Tinder thing, or the Bumble, or all the things that I don't quite understand, right? And they'll say, I know tons. They'll say, look, I have this date at 7:00. Call me at 7:30 just in case I have to leave. And I'm like, really? Oh yeah. So 7:30 is like, hey, listen, I can't talk now. I'm on a date. Click. It's going good. Hey, oh no, emergency? Okay, bye.
But then even then, why are you picking up your phone while you're on a date?
That's a whole nother set of things. But my point is, they're already setting themselves up to fail.
Okay.
If you've got to tell someone to call you in a half hour of a day because you're unsure of yourself and the experience, versus say to myself, oh my God, this is going to be the greatest day ever. I'm so excited to have the opportunity to be able to do this. You just set yourself up for sabotage. You set yourself up for fail. And that's a whole set of other circumstances.
So when people do that, and a lot of people, I think it's almost like a mental state for what I'm hearing from you is like, you're mentally preparing yourself for the worst situation so you can protect yourself. It's all about protecting yourself. As long as you're safe, you don't care about how you react, and you're afraid to be vulnerable with that person. That's what I'm understanding.
So you want the formula? You ready?
I'm ready. Here
we go.
Bring it on, Brent. Bring it on.
Perfect relationship. Perfect. Timing.
Okay.
Plus communication.
Okay.
Times mutual attraction.
Okay.
Minus emotional baggage equals the perfect relationship.
Everybody has emotional baggage, Brent. Okay.
Yes, but did you hear what I said?
Minus
the emotional baggage.
How do you minus emotional baggage?
That's
people carry like question. A lead.
They do. So there's a lot of different ways. One, this happened to me last week. It is one of the best advices I know a mother that gave her daughter. So I happen to know this person, and she calls. She's like, okay, my daughter's just turned 16. She wants to date. I want to hire you to be her life coach, because I work with a lot of teens, college students, and millennials.
Okay.
I said, great. I said, what are we focusing on? She said, relationships. I said, but she's just starting a date. And she said, exactly. I need her to learn how to love before she starts to love. How many of you out there have actually worked on yourself before you even go out to try to find who it is that you want to be with? The emotional baggage, of course, it's there. But most people, what they do, and I have a phenomenal demonstration that hopefully we'll be able to see. What they do, and I've seen this so many times. I remember years ago, I was speaking at a college and the young man picked me up and I said, tell me a little bit about yourself. He said, I'm a senior, I graduate this year and I'm going to be marrying my middle school sweetheart. I was like, oh, congratulations. And I said, how do you know this is it? He said, because, she's my other half. I said, well, you might also just stop and don't even get married and don't pay for it because it's going to end in tragedy. He pulls off the side of the road and goes, why would you say that? And I'm going to tell you why. And this is part of my formula, right? And this is what people do, right? Here we go. Person A, person B. Okay. So what happens is that a vast majority of us are looking for our other half. I'm looking for someone to fulfill me. And I'm like, you might as well just go to divorce court right now. Don't even start because you haven't really dealt with yourself in an effort to try to find what the perfect relationship can be in that pursuit. So person B, right? Half full, and says, oh, I'm looking for my other half. Well, here's person B. I don't care if it's gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, straight, it doesn't matter, relationship. So they start going on a date, right? And person A finds their other half. Oh, how exciting. And they fulfill that person. Person B is full to the top. Hold up. Uh-oh. What happened here? Person A is empty. Right. Well, then person B is communicating with person A and they're starting to argue and so on and so forth. But you're my other half. You fulfill me. So let me give you a little bit over here. And that's not enough. All right, cool. Let me give you a little bit more over here. They're happy. What happened?
Then you're empty too.
Yes. And I say to people, if you say to yourself, you're looking for your other half, don't even go on a date. Right? Let me ask you a question, Mo. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Please.
Were you born half a person?
No.
You were born a whole person. And so I'm going to share with you exactly what is a really... Oh, shut up. Right? Look at this go. The perfect relationship is when one whole person complements another whole person. And they've dealt the work. They've done the work that's necessary to find the essence of who they are as a human being. And the fact is, if you want to go on the most perfect date or get in the most perfect relationship, don't need one. When you don't need a relationship, that's when you should start dating. These people say, oh, I don't like being alone. Hello, problem, ding, ding, red flag, get a life coach. Hello, right? Do the work that you need to do. This mother was amazing. She said, she's 16. She's never dated. She doesn't know how to do this. I want you to help her so she can learn how to love. It is when two whole individuals come together and they complement each other. My favorite stories when I see, these various stories, whether it was pre-pandemic, during, post, is, and you see, I've seen about 4 of them where, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, they've been together for 62 years. Mrs. Johnson passes away, and an hour later, so does Mr. Johnson. That is two whole individuals that through the entire life came together and they complement each other. They're not looking for something from them. I don't need you to fulfill me. I don't need you to take your emotional baggage and put it on top of me. I'm good. Right? And so that's why I say it's timing. Oh, I met Mr. and Mrs. We communicate. We have that open communication. We bring positivity to the relationship while still embracing the negativity and understanding that's going to be part of the relationship, but not running away from it. That we multiply times the mutual attraction that we continue to have for ourselves. We take away the emotional baggage by having the conversations that we need to have and don't hold on to the negativity. And that equals our intimacy, our relationship that we have.
Give me a second, Brent.
Yeah, I
just give me a second. Just give me a second, Brent. Just give me a second. I love the conversation. I do. I think you're right. A lot of people are looking for that better half. And and I think once you're right, when you showed me the analogy, and even it made more sense when it was visual. So if you're not watching this, you need to watch this because he had the cups, he had the water. So like once you emptied it out, I was like, okay, it's true. Because if you're looking for your other half and they give you and you make you a whole person, they have to give you more than what they can offer themselves to make sure you feel good, and they get empty. And you see a lot of strain in that in any relationship. Sometimes the other person is so overwhelmed because the other person is so needy. Not needy, you know what I mean? Not need, lack of better
Oh
choice of
no,
word.
needy. Yeah, sure. Needy is a
Yeah.
good word. Or isn't we get those. That's when we get into those codependent relationships, and
Yeah.
nobody realizes it, right?
Yeah.
I have a client. Unfortunately, I mean, I said, she was supposed to be a client, and she said, well, because her husband's the breadwinner of the family. He said, well, my husband doesn't believe in this stuff, life coaching. So he's not going to pay for it. I can't work with you. And so I said, let me give you one last,
Advice before you go.
it's not that he doesn't believe in this stuff. It's that he doesn't believe in you. If he's not willing to support you and listen to your needs, wants, and desires, it's not about him. He's not hiring me. You're hiring me. And you have to look at this relationship.
I like what you said, because it's true. Like, I've always told people when I was in a relationship, I'm like, I don't want to need you. I want to want you. Like, you want me to want you. I don't want to, I can't have you. Like, you don't want me to need you.
Right.
And men, no offense, I'm going to be real. Some men need a woman to need them for them to feel like they're a whole. I don't need you. I just want you.
You get to that place, if you can ever, again, for all your listeners, if you get to that place where you don't need relationship, and again, that can even backfire. It's happened to me, to where you get so good at being a whole person, you're like, I really don't need anybody. No, you do, because it can backfire. Let me tell you.
Okay, then if it does backfire, I know you said your life coaches. Like, I know you initially at the beginning you mentioned your website, but people are interested in reaching out to you. Is the website the best platform to reach out to you again? And what was it?
I'm very transparent. So I'm an intuitive life coach. I do intuitive readings. They're about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm about 86% right. Like I said, if you go to the YouTube and put in today's show, Brent Scarpo, you'll see my abilities. So for all my podcasts, as long as I'm alive and well and 6 feet above ground, if you text the word MO, M-O, to 760-835-3327. Again, just text the word MO, M-O, to 760-835-3327. I will do a complimentary, strategic, intuitive life reading for you. You don't need. Yeah, I do that. That's my way of giving back. I want people to have the ability to at least have something, whether you use my services or don't use my services. If you go to, like I said, brentscarpo.com, I've got video testimonials there. You can email me, brent@brentscarpo.com, but literally text is the way. That's how my lovely millennials communicate. So again, just text Mo, so I know how we met, to 760-835-3327. And I will tell you, all I need is the birth date, and I will tell you everything there is to know about you. And I do an intuitive reading before we start any kind of life coaching. And what I share with you is the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, because that is our life. And that is relationships. Relationships are the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful. And your ability to communicate all four as a whole human being with another whole human being in order to have the most perfect relationship you possibly can.
But we're gonna have those for the video section. We're gonna have it in the video as well as the show notes, so anybody can come and look at that information. I appreciate the offer. Thank you. I'm starting to think that the podcast has become a therapy session for me. I'm really starting to think. I'm gonna be honest. I'm really in a good way. It's a bit honest. So I think honestly, if anybody's watching or listening, take it in. Because, again, we realize there's no such thing as perfect relationship, but it's the formula, it's the process, it's the willingness, it's just the taking time. And if you're not willing to go in there with an open heart to work with that person, then you're going to end up lonely. And again, you're right. You don't want to really look for your half or something. You want to be a full person. So when you come to another person, you're bringing not all that baggage, but some, I get it, but you're bringing some, you're complementing them to a point that you
That's
guys
it.
can build a good life together.
Yes,
Fair?
because what's happened is that we all have emotional baggage, but what happens is when we're looking for other half, you're saying, look, please take my emotional baggage. Why? Because I don't have the courage to be able to look at it. And hopefully this relationship will go ahead and mask what I refuse to look at, right? Versus two whole people come together, you have emotional baggage, but you complement each other. And so what you do is you have open communication with each other about the emotional baggage so that you can process it and use that to allow the relationship to grow versus allowing it to split apart.
So then what do you tell those people that have way too many emotional baggage and they haven't found that or discovered with themselves? How do they work on themselves then?
That's a great question. So I'll give you, I can share this. So my sister, right, who I adore,
you can say just somebody you know. It doesn't have to be a sister.
No. I'm transparent. Trust me. And she knows I've been saying this for many years. So she's been dating since she was 16, right? And she's now in her early 50s. And about maybe 7-8 years ago, she called me crying yet again. Right. Oh my gosh, this guy. And my sister has very long relationships, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, all that. And, they never marry her. They never, she always hints to it. They talk about it. When are we going to get married? She's lived with them. She's cohabitated, all the stuff that your listeners have done at some point in time. So finally, she called me one time. And yet again, this relationship, sneaky stuff, scandalous stuff. She finds it. My sister's very proactive. My sister's not one who necessarily cries. And I said, okay, look. I said, you're 44 years old. I'm tired of this. Do me a favor. I'm going to give you an exercise. She said, okay, what do you want me to do? I said, get a piece of paper down, number from 1 to 20. Think about the first guy that you ever went out with when mom said you could date at 16. And then what I want you to do is write down names, first and last names of every guy that you were in love with that was at least 6 months or longer, and then call me back, right? And I hung up the phone. So about a half hour, 45 minutes goes by. She calls me back. Okay, I did your exercise. I said, great. Read the list. Robin, Jonathan, Jason. She reads it. I said, read it again. Robin, Jonathan, Jason. I said, read it again. Robin, Jonathan. I said, read it again. What? Again. She said, why are you making me read this list so many times? I said, because you've been dating all these gentlemen. You have long-term relationships. I said, I'm going to tell you something. You've been dating the same man since you were 16. They just have different names. And until you sit down and do some work on why you date men who are unavailable, treat you like crap, and remind us of our Father, you will never be in the relationship that you want to be in. I said, you've been dating the same guy since you were 16. They just have different names. And my sister did what she's never done, because my sister literally gets out of a relationship, she's on Match.com, and a week later, she's in a relationship again. She doesn't let more than maybe 72 hours, 24 hours go by. Oh yeah, she's on it. She's on it. And she took a year. She took a year off and, did the work that I'm asking your listeners to do, right? Get a life coach. I'm not saying stop dating. But if you're getting into a serious relationship and such, get a life coach such as myself and go, I just started dating, got this guy I've been with. I would love to have a life coach. And, it's so interesting. We think about in like elementary, middle, and high school and college, right? We teach people math. We teach them chemistry. We teach them communication. Does anybody remember a course where we were taught how to love? Anybody? High school, middle school, college, maybe a little bit.
Consider it relevant.
Yeah. But isn't it? It's the one thing we so desperately want. It's something that we're surrounded by 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Look, I took math back in college. I haven't used math in such a long time. It's ridiculous. Trigonometry? Are you kidding me? I know how to spell it because I'm an English major, but I'm never using it. Love? Yes, we all want to love and be loved. But no one ever, they're just starting to do a little bit of it, I see in high schools, with select groups of people. But, as far as I'm concerned, and a lot of my millennials, no one sat down and said, I'm going to teach you how to love. That's why when this woman called me and said, listen, my 16-year-old's about to date, I want her to learn how to love. And I was like, you're amazing. And she will not go through half the drama that a lot of us go through because she, hired me to come into her daughter's life and said, okay, this is some of the things that you're going to see. First of all, let's work on you. And then as you become you, let's find somebody to complement you in the dating process.
I think a lot of people need that. Even at this age, even at 40, 50, some of them miss that whole conversation and you're right, dating the same people. I guess before I let you go, I've learned a lot. Thank you for your time with me because
Of
I feel like I
course.
got therapy from you
Of
personally.
course.
Is there
That's
anything
what
else
it's
you want?
about.
Yeah, I know it is. I really enjoy this. And before I let you go, anything you want to add or say? And I know we
Yeah.
know how to reach you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you know how to reach me. We're good to go. Let me give you some words of wisdom, if I may. I just heard these recently, and I just actually I've known about it for a while. I'm actually at my adopted grandmother's house. Unfortunately, she passed away from COVID at 97, and so we're sort of in that grieving process. And so I'm thinking about her a lot. I have a book that's coming out in May, Mother's Day, called The Red Balloon. You can go to my website and see it. I've been working on it for 10 years, and my grandmother's in the book. And it's primarily for women, but it's a life coaching book where we have these kinds of conversations, but you can read it, and then I have exercises at the end of each one. And so there's this great story. Edna Smith is her name. And I'll leave, and this is for all the husbands and all the boyfriends and all the males in the audience right now. So, and I was privy to this about 2 years ago. She had people over, and she had this one gentleman who had 2 teenage sons. And she looked at him and said, "Jim, can I talk to you for a second?" He said, "Yeah." She said, "What's the greatest thing you could do for your 2 teenage boys?" He paused. He said, "Well, you know, teach them morals and ethics, and I'm saving up so they can get a college education because I never had one, and just try to be a really good father." And then they said, "No, those are great answers. Let me tell you what I think the greatest thing you can do for your 2 teenage boys." She said, "The greatest thing you can do is show them how to love their mother."
Okay.
And I was so taken back by that, because what we know now is that the definition of love for us, our love map, was all put together as we were watching those around us love. And so people say, "Well, why, do I always attract the bad guys? Why do battered women attract men who basically will batter them and beat them, knowing that their mother was a victim of that?" Because that is their love map. That's what we saw. And so that's the only formula that we have. So we automatically gravitate towards that. So it was so amazing. Show them how to love their mother, because then when they become young men, that map that you gave them directions to will allow them to find that person that they can love as well.
I like that. I appreciate that.
Sure.
I do. No, honestly, I do. I think a lot of people don't realize that, because if you're used to treating somebody a certain way, then it's easy for you to kind of relate that to someone that you find that and you have that intimacy with as well.
Right. Exactly.
Thank you, Brent. I appreciate this conversation with you.
I've adored you. Thank you so much for allowing me the honor to be in your presence.
Perfect. Oh. We're glad to have you join us. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, share with anyone that needs to be empowered and inspired, and don't forget to join us next week for the next episode of Health Your Way Podcast. Have a good day, you guys.